and welcome back to Bringing Smart Back. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope you had a great holiday season and a happy new year. This past Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so I decided that would be a great topic to start off the new year with. So before we can learn about the holiday, let's learn a little bit more about the man himself. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. With his father and grandfather both being Baptist ministers, faith was always a big part of his life. Mr. King was very smart, and he skipped the 9th grade and the 11th grade and started college at 15 at Morehouse College. Then, after that, he studied 3 years of theology, and that's when he met Coretta Scott, and they would later get married and have 4 children. Then King, with his family, moved back to Montgomery, Alabama to be a Baptist preacher. During a time of segregation, when your skin color determined where you could sit and how you were treated, Dr. Martin Luther King decided the only way to change things was to take a stand. And in 1953, Rosa Parks sparked Mr. King's involvement. When she refused to give up a seat on a bus, she was arrested and spent a night in jail. Along with other civil rights leaders, Dr. King decided to do a Montgomery bus boycott, and this lasted over a year. Fun fact, did you know that Martin Luther King Jr.'s first name wasn't really Martin? His birth name was actually Michael. But in 1934, his father took a trip to Germany to attend the Fifth Baptist World Alliance Conference. And there, his name was also Michael, he spoke, and when he spoke, he decided to go under the name of Martin Luther because of the German reformer Martin Luther. And when he came back home from Germany, he decided to change his name and his son's name to Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. is known for a lot of things, one of which were the marches across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They were marched from Selma, Alabama to the Capitol building in Montgomery, Alabama to get the voting law passed. There were 3 marches. The first one happened on March 7, 1965, and as the demonstrators were going across the bridge, they met officers at the other side who attacked them, and this is now known as Bloody Sunday. The last march started on March 21st with the protection of 2,000 U.S. Army soldiers and 1,900 members of the Alabama National Guard. They averaged 10 miles a day walking along what in Alabama we call the Jefferson Davis Highway, and they reached the state capitol building in Montgomery, Alabama on March 25th, with over 25,000 people there supporting the new law being passed for voting rights.
When they go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots be on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. What?
On August 28, 1963, over 200,000 Americans gathered in front of Washington, D.C. for a political rally known as the March on Washington. And this is where Martin Luther King gave his famous speech.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Sadly, on April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot outside his room on the 2nd floor balcony at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. He was pronounced dead at 7:05 at St. Joseph's Hospital. 50 years after the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, President Barack Obama and thousands of others gathered to remember what so many Americans fought for that day and what so many people around the world are still fighting for: equality, justice, and freedom for all.
Because they kept marching, America changed. Because they marched, the civil rights law was passed. Because they marched, a voting rights law was signed. Because they marched, doors of opportunity and education swung open so their daughters and sons could finally imagine a life for themselves beyond washing somebody else's laundry or shining somebody else's shoes. Because they marched, city councils changed, and state legislatures changed, and Congress changed, and yes, eventually the White House changed.
Even though Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was just one man, he made a huge difference. And so many people stood up for the right thing. You are never too old or too young to make a change. For awesome links, worksheets, and more, you can check out the lesson plan for this video at www.bringingsmartback.com, lesson 17. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you learned something new about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't forget, you can follow Bringing Smart Back on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Also, as a reminder, starting in February, Bringing Smart Back will be on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month. I hope you have a great week.